this. Let's make sure everything's good to go, and we'll watch the YouTubes and make sure that stream health is healthy and get this live stream underway. Second. And it looks like we are ready to go, which is good because yesterday was less than ideal. Hi. Sometimes when I step away and mess with my audio settings, I will do something weird and forget to change things back. While I was while we were busy doing the holiday thing, I edited my audio settings, and I actually was recording my audio twice yesterday, but only during certain views. And during the playback, it made I couldn't do anything about the audio. Once YouTube mashes it together, I can't unmash it. So basically, I had to scrap yesterday's feedback loop. It's still there. If you had work in the feedback loop from yesterday, it's there for you. But we're going to move on from that because it had double audio in some spots, so that was less than ideal. I believe we've got that fixed though today. So one day hiccup, that's acceptable. Not ideal, but we fix it and we move on. The good news here is that we have we are beginning to embark on the hiring season. This is the traditional hiring season, and it's really one of the first signs that things might be getting closer to being back to normal. All through 2020, the hiring cycle was actually, you know what? I should back this up, and we should just really start the thing. We should start the thing because it's that time. It's time for the feedback loop, and I have not properly introduced myself, and there's new people watching. I had a few messages this morning. New subscribers are here, so let's kick this off properly. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatics. Time for the feedback loop. So good to have you along. We have something very important that's occurring right now that is one of the first signs that 2021 might be a little more normal than 2020 really ever was. And that is the fact that right now, right on schedule, we have a very robust hiring cycle kicking off. And last year, because of the CV, the beer bug, if you will, the hiring cycle was distorted. And the traditional hiring cycle for designers, for product designers, typically runs January through March, and then there's a bit of a lull. Then you have a little bit of a boost right around the traditional graduation time where some positions will be filled, interns take positions, and then it's a summer lull, and then you get right back into it for the close of the year, so September through early November. So there's two big windows and one little one kind of in between. The big one is the one that we're in right now. And last year that was truncated. We were near the end of that hiring cycle when COVID hit, and then we did not see a normal hiring cycle for really the rest of the year. There was definitely spikes like July where we typically don't have a spike. July picked right back up because there had been no hiring prior to that point because everybody was freaked out about the virus. And I know that because I had a number of students that got washed out in April when the layoffs were the heaviest, and they landed jobs in July and August, which is typically where you don't see a lot of hiring because of summer vacations. So now, entering 2021, I'm seeing a wave of hiring. People have their budgets, and people need to fill positions because they likely did not. There's a backlog. They didn't fill positions in 2020 because they wanted to see what was going to happen. Now we've got a number of vaccines on the way, and now people feel more confident that we can hire, particularly for design jobs. Design jobs can be done from afar. You don't have to necessarily go into an office. And I think that has entered a new dynamic, a new paradigm that we were really hinting at in 2019. We said, 2020, that's going to be the year of remote. Didn't predict a pandemic though. So with that said, we're jumping into the hiring phase. And this is the time for you to get your portfolios together, to polish up that LinkedIn, to get your machine readable resume ready to go. And if you have questions about any of that, there is a playlist on my YouTube channel specifically dedicated to prepping you for the career search. There's also a plethora of career guidance available for you on the newpragmatic.com site. newpragmatic.com/career will get you to, I believe it's up to 18 exercises to help you get ready for the job search. So check those resources out. One, YouTube channel, New Pragmatic, has a playlist specifically on career guidance. And then two, newpragmatic.com has a number of exercises that are directly built. They actually stack one to the next, chained together, if you will, specifically on the career search. So those are there for you. And if you're looking for guidance, if you're looking for mentorship through this process, just listen to the students that are here. You should consider working with me. So with that said, let's jump in to today's session. Maddie has submitted some work, and it dovetails so nicely with what we were just talking about with regard to the job search. Because one of the things that I really do believe that you need when you're considering applying for any job is you need a deck. You know, it used to be you would go in, you would carry your portfolio of work, and you would just walk in and you'd show them the final work. That's no longer sufficient. We need more. We need to not only see more, but we need to understand how you got to those final solutions. And just pulling up your website, that in the past would have been enough. But just scrolling through the website and one project to the next. First of all, if you're interviewing with somebody, they've likely already seen your website. They know what that is. They don't need a tour. They're looking for a deeper dive on particular areas, and that's where a deck comes in. So we're going to look at Maddie submitted some work that she did on her deck, and I want to look at it not only from a perspective of, hey, how does it look, but I want to look at it from a perspective of, what does it say? What does it say? Is it really coming across to me as somebody who understands what they're doing? Or do they articulate why they've made the decisions that they've made? And that's some of the type of stuff we're going to look at. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get this started. All right. So right now we're looking at Maddie's deck. She built this in Figma, and if I were to hit escape, you get all the Figma controls back here. But you can come down here and hide the toolbar and footer, just like that. And actually, I think I can well, we don't want that. I thought I could command slash and get that back as well. Should be command, / or backslash, but whatevs. So let's go ahead and jump on in here. So this is Selected Works by Maddie, UX designer. Hello, Maddie. Nice to meet you. It's always nice to have an intro. So the agenda here is to talk about inspired schools and to take a Q&A. I do like the fact that you've started this off by saying, "Hey, here's what I'm going to talk about," and then you will have a chance to ask questions after. That's good to let kind of give them. It's kind of like being on the road and kind of knowing, okay, so I don't know where this road is going, so can somebody please show me a road sign? And you've provided them with a road sign. Like, I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about 10 things. I'm going to talk about this thing. So this is Inspired Schools, a component library with international flavor. Um, Inspired Schools Group had quickly acquired 65 international schools over the course of a couple of years, resulting in disparate, rigid front and back end website experience. Um, okay. The goal, objective, create a flexible component library that enables all 65 schools to build best-in-class websites that meet the needs of current and prospective student families. All right. Key results: define individual components, provide sample designs, create a narrative that unites schools, do it in 8 weeks. Okay, so this, what I like there is I have a sense of, and this is Drupal CMS. What I like here is that I have a sense of how long it took you to do it. I have a sense of what sort of tech you might have been using, and what the overall goal was, which was to pull these things together. I am interested. Like, we go from the dark blue to the white to the dark blue to the dark blue. I'm not sure why the white came in there, but I just want to be strategic with when I switch that background color. And now we're back to journey mapping and alignment. So, from just a pure perspective of when I am utilizing the background, I think that might need some adjustment. If nothing else, I might flip the background Inspired Schools to white, then come back in here with the dark blue. This is a little small, and that's not to say that it needs to be larger. But as we're going through, it just kind of shrinks down. And also, I might I know the width here. The width here is fine because this is pretty easy to read because the text is so large. The width here is less good, and you have some space to work with. I might make it like 60% instead of 75% width, just to maybe get a little more depth in here and make it just a little easier to read. Because right now you're really stretching out to get to functionality and umbrella, and customization. I might just knock those in a bit. Journey mapping and alignment. Okay, remote workshops to define team goals. So here I can see, I get a sense of, like, there were some spreadsheets, there was some brainstorming. You were clearly you're showing the artifacts. So what this is really saying to me is, okay, there was some collaboration. This wasn't just you sitting at a computer and drawing some boxes. Okay, so there was some research here. Personas and context. So this tells me that there were people that you were considering. It looks like the perspective and current change a bit. But you're probably I'm guessing you're going to fill in the gaps here for me a little bit, because I see the icons change. I don't necessarily know why. So the goal summary: streamline, improve, decrease bounce rates, improve storytelling, enhance website management experience, build a consistent information architecture. So this is the foundational navigation. I'm not sure if by foundational you mean that this is the old or this is the new. flexible navigation for corporate, individual, schools, and groups. So this is like giving us a look at the different ways that you could drill down on the sites. Um, feels like Figma just from the way the frames are labeled. So maybe this is a Figma prototype or project, which is good if they are, especially if you're trying to get across that I have experience using X program. This definitely shows that. Flexible navigation, starting to storytell. Okay, so directional copy and tight knit and a tight knit team. So I can see there's some collaboration on at the wireframing level, which is great. I also get a sense that you're designing with content first, and that's really important. And I can't stress this enough, especially if you're watching along and you've got wireframes that are full of lorem ipsum. I'm less trustful of the work that you're doing. I really want to see content being considered before we start drawing boxes on pages, and I do look at this as an indication of, okay, do they get their ducks in a row and do they understand what's going on the page before it gets to this phase, or do they just start drawing boxes? Because I would ask some questions about if it was just lorem ipsum. The first question I have is, well, what is this image? And the answer, if I hear back, oh, we hadn't figured that out yet. We just knew an image should be up there. It's like, yeah, but not always. Not there isn't always an image that could go there. So something to keep in mind. So make it scalable. So here this is looking at the app, and you got South African schools and UK schools. Our school is very small. Will these designs work for me if I don't have this much content? This is a spot where I would this isn't a situation where you don't control the content. You have the content in hand. Our school is very small. Paragraph. Will these designs work for me if I don't have this much content? Like, I would kick that over just because I don't want that will hanging out there. And these are just ticky-tack design things. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your design overall. I just want to make the words work a little better. Modularity. I like how you're using the white overall. I think I want these two flipped because you're being very consistent with the white intros. So I would just flip that. And I also think like this is very consistent from here's content's over here, and I'm giving you a short introduction into what that content is. I think that works as well. Demonstrating how components work together. So you're kind of laying out here are the components. I would be interested to know if like there was is there a way to see like components? Here's a group of components and here's what they make. I think that's what this is doing, but I might want to see like two screens here. Like here's the first, and it shows me the components. Here's the second, and here it shows me the units that the components made. That's just it's just adding a slide and then switching out what's on the right rather. Prototypes. So this is showing. I'm guessing that this is probably a link of some sort. Born Group Envision app that gets us to there. Results. We delivered a Drupal-backed component library to the extensive Inspired network in 8 weeks. We also empowered the distributed Inspired team to customize each component and component arrangement to fit their audiences. Thank you. This is typically where I would, this is really ticky-tack as well. This is typically where I would put a slide between these two that says questions. And that allows you to pause the presentation before you get to the thank you and and jump back if you need to into and go, oh, yeah, this is where I talk about that. Or you can then escape out of the presentation and begin that conversation with some files. And that's the other thing I would mention is get yourself into a situation where you have these files already open and ready to go, particularly with Figma. You may or may not have a Wi-Fi connection. Like, you can generally screencast to somebody's display. A lot of places it used to be you had to like carry a port to connect and display up to their screen. Now it's just Chromecast and you throw it to their screen, which is great. But you may not have access to their Wi-Fi because your Chromecast and it may not require it. So if you have those files open to where you can quickly go to, I'll show you the components, and you can dive in deeper very quickly. If you don't have those things open, it's going to slow you down. So when you're getting into that presentation mode, have the things open, and keep in mind, they may ask you a question out of left field, and you'll have to go reach for it. Okay? And that doesn't mean that, like, there is no foolproof way to have everything already loaded and have that the precog to know what they're going to ask. What I'm saying to you is, if it's in your presentation, you should have those files open off to the side, and then you dive in and do the best you can. If they ask something that is out of left field and you decide to go for it, no harm, no foul. You've done the best you can to prepare. Don't feel like you did bad if you don't have everything that they possibly asked for open, because that would be impossible. Overall, though, I really think this is pretty good, Maddie. A few places where I would want to expand, a few adjustments just to like color usage, a few adjustments to the way the typography is setting on the page or on the screen. And otherwise, I think it's very good. I think it stands as an example of what I would like to see everybody have before they go into an interview. And if you don't have that, that doesn't mean that you can't have that. And if you don't have that, that doesn't mean that you can't interview. It's just one more quiver, one more arrow in the quiver, rather, for Maddie to work with. That, if you're watching this and you've got a portfolio but you don't have a deck, the portfolio is required. You're not getting the interview without the portfolio. Like the site, that's required. The deck is the stretch, okay? You can't have it the other way around. You need a site to get the interview, all right? You need the deck for the interview. So site, then deck, not the other way around. If you've got both, congratulations. You're ready to go in and do battle. If you don't, that's okay. You're just, I would be hopeful that, well, maybe whoever else is interviewing, they also don't have a deck. Or if they have a deck, it's not very good. You don't want to run into Maddie's deck. Maddie's got a very good deck. It could be a little better. And we pointed out a few different ways to improve it. So that said, great job. Thanks for submitting that. And thank you so much for doing that today, because it allowed us to kind of go in and talk about how this particular period of time is unique, because it's hiring season again. And it's hiring season again, which means the world might be a little more normal for change. And it's been a while since we've seen that. All right, folks. I'm Chris Courtney. This has been the Feedback Loop. I will see many of you in mentorship meetings today. If you're looking for a mentor, listen to my friends here at the end of this show. And otherwise, I will chat with you later.